Hey guys, the following video is brought to you by American Collectors Insurance. Stick around towards the end for some more information.
All right, folks, we got Jeff Zipity Duda here on the Zoom call, and we have to take this opportunity. For those of you that may not know Jeff, he is a lifelong Corvette fan. He was once president of the original Garden State Corvette Club and is still a member. He has a YouTube channel. His YouTube channel likes to do a lot of Corvette stuff too from time to time. So I thought we would have a little fun, play a little game, and see which generation of Corvette would be good for which situation. All right, are you ready to play, Jeff?
Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. Which Corvette would you take to a job interview? Which generation?
I would love to pull up for a job interview in a beautiful, beautiful C1 Corvette. Nothing like a red Corvette with white side coves and just saying, you know, I'm all about class, baby.
I think for a job interview, not trying to show off a lot, but maybe trying to say, hey, there's something to me. I know they're not the best to drive, they're not the fastest, but I'd probably do a late model C3, one of the rubber bumpers with the sloping glass back. If it was really clean and tastefully done, I think it could give the perfect impression.
Can't go wrong with that, that's for sure.
Which Corvette generation would you use to take grandma to church on a Sunday?
Taking grandma to church. Well, grandma is probably going to be in her 70s, 60s, 70s, or 80s. So I would, you know, absolutely want to bring something that she was familiar with. And I think a mid-year Corvette, or again, that's first generation Corvette, would be perfect for taking grandma to church. As long as the mid-year didn't have side pipes and a 427 under the hood, you'd be in good shape. Because otherwise you'd be shaking grandma's, you know, hat right off of her head with those side pipes and a 427 under the hood.
My grandma is a car person. She absolutely loves convertibles. She's owned quite a few in her lifetime. A huge convertible fan. She doesn't care about the wind bugging her hair. She just puts a shawl on or something, you know. And so I would have to say she's a big fan of the cars from the 50s. That's kind of when her and my grandpa started getting the house they want, getting the car they want. They were like, financially, things were looking good for them. And so I would have to say a C1 convertible. It's another fun one. Which Corvette generation would you give to your freshly licensed 16-year-old?
Well, let's see. I'm probably about 3 years away from that, so I got to start thinking about that. So that being said, I'm going to go back to like the 1982 with 180 horsepower so that they can't get into too much trouble. So I'll go, you know, late C3s for the first driver with the automatic transmission at that point as well. So.
Okay, I think I would probably do a C4 because if something happened to it, it wouldn't be particularly expensive to replace.
Right.
You know, depending on the C4, it could have a little bit more power, so they could learn the responsibility of power, but it's not going to melt anyone's face off, you know. What, in your mind, is the most iconic Corvette?
I'm going to have to go with a 1963 split window Corvette. It's, I think, the Corvette on, you know, the most posters. It's been in probably the most photographs, and it's just an unbelievable degree of engineering. And the fact that, you know, the split window was, you know, like we just talked about, you know, the love-hate versus people hated it. You know, they in fact in '64 they removed it, and General Motors actually offered to replace that window if you bought a '63 split window. People that replaced it are probably kicking themselves right now because I would have to say the '63 split window coupe.
I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the Chris Tucker's C3 in Rush Hour, and I feel like the C3, it's you know, it's kind of, we've talked about that as well, being in the middle. You know, it's not the oldest Corvettes, it's not among the newest Corvettes, but it kind of has the language and style. You can see where it's going to go and where it came from at the same time. So that's what I would pick. Your favorite Corvette of all time?
Favorite Corvette of all time, and for my use, it's an easy answer for me. And you know, right now with the values, I know at least unless I hit the lottery, I'm not getting one. But it's the C7 ZR1 with the manual transmission with the ZTK package, track package, with the big wing on the back, the carbon ceramic brakes. That to me is the epitome, and it absolutely is. It's the top of the mountain for a front engine, 755 horsepower Corvette.
Okay, so you're gonna think I'm either the biggest loser or I don't have any money or both. But it goes back to nostalgia, like we said when we're kids, you know. So for me, not most people's favorite, but I would love a C4, the 80s versions, probably, you know, when the taillights went like this instead of that from the side. And it would probably be, I can't remember the name of the color. It's almost like a gunmetal type silver. And they have those wheels that are almost like a pie pan with little vents on the side, you know.
85, 86, 87, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Exactly. Yeah. After the crossfire injection and digital dash. I mean, like, gosh, as a kid from the 80s that grew up watching, you know, Star Wars and Flight of the Navigator, all those little digital doodads, I just thought, this is the future when I sat in one when I was a kid. So I would have to go back to that. I could have one of those and be very happy for a very long time. Perfect. Thank you so much for talking with us.
My pleasure.
All right. Go to www.americancollectors.com to get your free quote today and see how much you can save. Thanks for watching.